Hello all, A Knife Style here, and I hope you're having a fine day today. I'm bringing you a knife review of this Artisan Cutlery Xcellerator. This is kind of one of the artisans that defies the artisan tag and is more budget end, but it's not an actual budget knife. Quick look at what we got. We got a harpoon drop point blade in ARRPM 9, Artisan's proprietary blend. It's kind of like a 910 CR-ish thingy around there. Contoured micarta scales. It is a liner lock. The designer is Mike Snowdy, I believe it is. He is a custom knife maker, and I think that's his logo right there. It is on bearings, and I have to say it has some pretty, as I'm getting it off camera, yeah, it's got some pretty good action though. Let's get to specs, so then we can, and when we're done that, we'll talk more about the knife. It's 3.78 inches of blade, maybe like 8.5, 9 inches overall, 5 1/8 on the handle. You will quickly see that this is, without a doubt, a large knife. This 100% comes into the category of large knife. This is the Civivi Elementum, which is the small knife comparison, and the Conspirator, which has all of my little magnets attached. For the medium, or full-size knife comparison, medium is slightly smaller than full-size, in my opinion, but yeah, it's big. It's bigger than both considerably. The comparison for the AA batteries, you almost have 2 whole AA batteries just in your finger cutouts between them. It is also bigger in this way, considerably. I mean, it's close-ish, but it is a little bit taller. Another way it's bigger is thickness. Yeah, it is a thicker knife. It is contoured, and it is thicker overall. Okay. Let's take the exact specs just now. Thickness of the Xcellerator, 560 thousandths, which isn't that much. I think this is 520, yeah. So it's still over half an inch, not 600 thousandths, which would be quite thick. 145 thousandths on the blade stock. I wonder if they were going for 150. I don't know. Behind the edge, I'm going to call that about 17 thousandths, maybe in some spots, and 18 thousandths. It is thicker behind the edge, but that's still very reasonable in my opinion for behind the edge. I will say that it does get thick fast because, you know, it's running off of, like, not the tallest saber grind in the world. Saber-ish grind. So it gets thick pretty quickly, but for a slightly harder deuce, you know, larger, chunkier sort of knife, it's not bad. It could definitely be worse. I've seen worse. I've seen worse on smaller knives, let's be honest. Weight. Hopefully that's coming across. I know there we go. 6.808 ounces. So it's 6 ounces. This is a heavy knife. It's large, it's chunky. There's no milling on the internal liners, and it feels it. I will say that one thing that it does do well, though, is the balance point is right there at your primary grip, and I think that's probably why they didn't mill out the internal liners, because it does feel very nimble and balanced here. So maybe they thought it through, maybe they just got lucky. Who knows, right? As you can see, there are 2 spots for adjustment. However, it is captured. This one does not spin. It is one side only. It is T8. And for some reason, and I do not know why, but especially on these large knives, it looks all the stranger. T6 for the rest of the screws. Don't like that. Not at all. Particularly when you got a large knife. I believe that is all the most relevant of specs. So, quick, just dive into the nitty-gritty, I guess. You've got a stonewash blade with a decent amount of, like, polish to it. It's... you can't quite see yourself in it, but you can definitely see hints of images in it. That does lead it to being a little bit more prone to, like, you know, getting a little blurry from oils and stuff like that. But overall, it's still pretty darn good looking blade. Nice little poon action, good opening aperture, which is the only way to actuate this knife. There is jimping up here. It is pretty much completely worthless. It's really soft and it doesn't do anything. It's more almost just like... it's not what I would call unpleasant, but it grates your finger without actually providing the traction, so it kind of defeats its own purpose. I would imagine in gloves that would probably... like, if you actually push into it and get yourself in there, it does give some traction, so that's not how I would hold this knife, but if you're in gloves, it probably would grip a little bit better. I do like this sort of sweeping up shape. It's got a very interesting shape to the blade, and the poon works. I mean, you can definitely get up there and into it. The tip is a bit high for getting to, but you can do it. As far as branding goes, we have the Artisan cutlery logo, but it's bigger than I necessarily want to see it, but it is off to the side. Most of the blade just looks pretty clean. Same with this. I don't like seeing codes for knives, but the AARPM9, sure, why not, right? Plunge grind, it does sort of hit the termination of the edge. You can actually see it's a little bit wonky on this side. It looks like someone went up and lifted up a little bit and got a little bit higher on there, or the angle might be a bit different back there at the heel. I do think you're probably going to get one or two sharpenings before you really start seeing anything, because it does have some height above the termination. Even if it terminates right there, it's still got a little bit of height. But you will definitely get a smile, but at the same time, because they, unlike so many companies, place the stop pin in the right place, which is, you'd think, such a simple thing, you can enlarge that choil. You can grind that out. It doesn't hit until back here. And there you can kind of see, there's the marking right there on that. That's where it hits, so you're good for whatever, and that's a good thing. Or you can just go with a smile. Who knows? Who cares, right? With this kind of aggressive, crazy-looking, smiley knife already, maybe a smile down here would look right on there. I don't know. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. All right. Moving on from... oh, and the blade. I do think there is a bit more blade that they could have gotten into the end of this thing. Maybe dig out a little bit more of that. Make the lanyard hole a little bit smaller, or lanyard loop, I guess, a little bit smaller. It's hidden, which is nice, but they could probably have gotten a tiny bit more blade in there, which would help with the ratios a little bit, but with all the craziness that this thing's doing, it's part of the design at this point, so who knows? Who cares? We have brass, I believe it is, pivot collar, and backspacer. Moving on to the micarta, it's very good quality micarta. Very soft, very nice, very cloth-like. It has... the edges are a little bit 90-degree-ish, but they have been softened just enough to not be unpleasant. They're not like full-on 90 degrees. They aren't. They could be chamfered a bit more, but they're good. And of course, micarta will wear in a little bit to make it feel even a little bit better as time passes. Which it's already started, as you can see. It's started to get more of that green coloring, or a darker green coloring, as it starts to wear in, which... yeah, it's pretty much kind of average time for wear in. I had another knife recently that I got that started really picking up darker coloring in its micarta surprisingly quickly. And I've had some that really don't seem to pick up much color at all. This one's pretty average. And that's just the, oils working their way into the fabric and the resin and stuff. Where was I? I was talking about the bearings, which are quite good, actually. As you can see, despite this heavy blade, which is definitely helping with the drop shot nature of this thing, because it's definitely got a heavy blade on there. Big heavy blade on there. And of course, as I'm trying to talk about it, suddenly decides to get stuck. Really? It is an extremely slow drop shot. It is controlled, so clearly they have done a pretty good job with the tolerances. I mean, a lot of times when you get big blades like this, they just sort of guillotine. This one, at the tightness it is, which has it perfectly centered, is really, 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 really nice. That is a nice action. The thumb flick and the reverse flick both work really well, too. Now, I guess lock bar access. Lock bar access is wonderful. I mean, they have this big bit sticking out, plus they have a chamfer. They don't have a chamfer on the other side, so it does... When you don't have a chamfer on the show side, it does tend to kick your finger out a little bit on an angle. But not that bad, not that much. It's mostly coming from the side. And the way they did the tang and the amount of tang on this knife and the edge termination, if you go up towards the top of the lock, it basically hits your finger there without ever even worrying about coming into the contact with the blade. Some knives tend to drop to your nail. This one will drop to your nail, but it won't be the blade on your nail. And of course, then you also don't have to worry about the occasional one where it goes whoop right into the cuticle. So lock bar access is great. There is no milling, I said that already, but again, it keeps the balance. So hopefully that's what they were intending there. Pocket clip is just basically a slightly curved popsicle stick. Good retention, actually. Like, it's a little stiff, but at the same time, it's one of those ones where, despite being a little stiff, I can really get a lot of flex out of it. It is not the tallest pocket clip, however, so maybe in these, like, double, super thick reinforced pockets, it's going to be a problem. Jeans, basic, just standard, everyday jeans, you probably will get in there. It will be a little bit tight, but maybe you won't get all the way down, but again, you're not getting complete deep carry anyway, so if it sits here at medium depth, it shouldn't be a problem. Oh, there you go, you finally want them to function properly. Now, the obvious one of the stars is this handle, which is... Oh, and contouring. But the handle, which is crazy. It tapers down, it's got very, very prescriptive grips, yet it works. It really does. Your middle finger's going to go here, your main finger's going to here, and I would say you could probably get slightly larger hands than mine, on this thing, and still be perfectly comfortable, because I have a little bit of room up in here and up in here to really, like, spread out. So, yeah, there's a lot of room, even in this very forced grip it has as its primary grip. But it's super comfortable. The contouring, as I said, the edges are just done enough. And the clip, while you can feel it, is, like, completely inoffensive. In fact, I'd say this would probably be a knife that would be bad with a standard sort of budget deep carry clip, or really any other sort of clip. Basically, you need something very flat and minimal, because with the contouring on the clip, it really just works. Because you're getting so thin down here, despite being such a large knife, you're going to feel it. So, they did a great job with the choice. This was a smart decision. You also have this choke-up position here, which I have to say, looking at it, doesn't look, because you're at a different angle, it kind of looks like you could slip up. It's a lot more comfortable than you'd think, especially because when I grip it, I sort of push down on the blade with my finger and still feels like there's a bit of guard there and something stopping me from going forward. So I really do feel pretty safe and locked in this position, which I have to say is better than I was expecting. And my finger just naturally goes there, and the rest of the fingers, yeah, it works. Tons of extra handle, multiple positions. It's pretty darn good, honestly. The detent is also, let's see if we can get the detent. It's not like a super heavy detent, it's a medium detent, but it's good. It's enough to provide resistance against this big old blade flopping out, right? So you have enough tension build up to actually fling the blade out. It's not just flopping out haphazardly. You can do that, though. But that is partially a product of big blade. Right? A large, heavy, thicker blade is going to be easier. It's not that easy to do, honestly. But that will pull it out. And the thickness and heaviness to the blade is partially due to the lower grind. I wouldn't mind seeing that a little bit higher, but honestly, as I said, it's not bad. I know these were... I don't know if these were super popular. I haven't heard a lot about them after they came out. And I can kind of understand it's a very specific knife for someone who wants something that fits this genre. It's big, it's heavy, it's what it is. But part of the reason I think these things maybe weren't quite the hit that they could have been is the price point. And that's really the only weakness for this. This knife in AR RPM 9 is $97.99. About that. You might find a vendor that's within a variance of like $1 or something like that. But while it does feel like a really good knife, like it feels better than just your average budget knife, it's also, you know, almost twice the price of the Elementum. And while you're getting a lot here, and there's definitely a lot of work into it, I mean, you don't see contouring too much on a lot of budget knives, at least not the less expensive ones, and you got a titanium clip. I still think with the AR RPM 9, it does feel just a tiny bit overpriced. I think this knife coming in at like $80 would have been really appealing to some people. Or it would have been much more appealing to me. I got it for less. I got this separately for less than that. So for me, it was a budget knife. It was under the $75 mark. But it's one of the things that sort of stopped me from checking it out until I saw an opportunity to get it for less, because I wasn't willing to pay $100 for AR RPM 9. Even if it is big and contoured. It just feels a little bit more than it should. Though it does feel better than I was expecting too. I expected it to feel more like just your standard budget knife. It feels closer to a mid-range knife, but still on the lower end of that. So, yeah, and mid-range on this channel is $75 above to about $200. So, I mean, it's right where it needs to be, but it's definitely too much. So, $80, $85 would have been much more appealing for this. There is a premium version of this in titanium, which is frag pattern. I don't think it's contoured. I'm not 100% sure about that. And S90V. And that comes in at, I think, $199.99, like $200 exactly. Even if it's not contoured, as long as they did the edges right, I would honestly say that that's probably the better bang for your buck, because full tie and S90V and this geometry giving like a little bit extra toughness to S90V might be really good. I'm not sure about how S90V does with the thicker geometries, but what you're getting with that premium version does seem like a better deal, especially if it's got a similar to slightly better execution to this. Even though this is actually executed very well, it does still not feel like a full premium. But at $200, even the regular one is still sort of falling into that mid-tier. And yeah, I think that might be your better value. This is an okay entry, but I would say if you can get it on sale for, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks less, or even more than that, of course, it would definitely be worthwhile. But I don't know, something like AR-RPM9, which as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, is something similar to 9ZR or 10ZR-ish in that range somewhere, barring some slight adjustments with composition and certain qualities. It doesn't feel like a steel that should be on a $97 knife, personally. At that point, I'd like to see maybe like 154. But other than that, it's a really good knife. It is. It defied my expectations. I just got it because it was interesting, and it would be interesting for the channel. Oh, there's also a mini version, though. The mini version is 3.25 inches of blade, I believe. It's like, I know there's a premium version of the mini. I don't know if there's a budgeter version of the mini. The premium one is like $189, so it's like $10 less. That's still probably a full-size knife, and you're probably still getting a great... I mean, it's not a full-size knife. That's a medium-sized knife with that size blade, but it's not exactly small either. It's not the mini like it claims to be, but it's fine. And I think that is everything I want to talk about today, so I will call the review here. Like, subscribe, comment down below, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for watching, and once again, have a great day. See ya.